this slow-moving
in terms of the things
issue
that
around
Typical
climate
global
change. It's difficult to
overwhelming
capture.
story, news story,
I guess I
overwhelms people, immobilizes people,
I think we have the
paralyzes them.
ultimate.
Well, if we're
It's only
interested
when
in
there are these
action,
I guess I'd like to
that's
power.
not what we want. We don't want to sugarcoat it. So what do we do?
Catherine, look here, for the next 50 years, of course, because the United States...
Really briefly, just more scientific information doesn't work.
My name is Matthew McAllister. This semester I've had the privilege of learning about climate change from the world's top experts. They all talk about their cautious optimism about our future. Yet I still personally fail to see how I can make a difference. That isn't to say I don't try. I turn off the lights when I leave the room, I use a water bottle instead of a plastic bottle, I only use one paper towel to dry my hands. And while I would like to think that these small conscious efforts make a difference, the truth is, I know they don't. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be boarding a plane to Washington, D.C. to study political history. By stepping on that plane, I'm going to far outweigh any positive contributions I've made towards environmental protection. To prove it, let's illustrate how much CO2 I'm going to be producing by purchasing a ticket. If I recycle one aluminum can, I'm preventing 0.29 pounds of CO2 from entering the atmosphere. This is the difference between the amount of CO2 produced in making a can from raw materials compared to making one from recycled materials. Okay, let's set that aside and look at my upcoming trip. I'll be flying on a commercial jet that holds 179 people. The distance to DC is 1,492 miles. The jet I'll be on produces 24.8 pounds of CO2 per mile that it flies at a cruising altitude. We're going to leave out taxiing and takeoff for simplicity. This means the flight will result in 37,068 pounds of CO2 being produced. That's 207 pounds of CO2 per passenger. To offset the CO2 produced by this single flight, we would have to recycle 126,811 aluminum cans. To visualize that, think of cans being stacked, one on top of the other. The total height of 126,000 cans would be the equivalent of 40 Eiffel Towers being stacked on top of each other. Per passenger, you'd only have to recycle 708 cans, or about 1 can per day for the next 2 years to make up for the 4-hour flight. Given this, it seems ridiculous for me to claim that I'm an environmentalist, or care at all about climate change, because every time I step on a flight, I outweigh any contributions I've made to protecting the environment. What's worse is that even though I know how much my flight's going to cost the environment, I'm still going to get on that plane. I'm not going to change my lifestyle more than what's convenient, and I don't think you are either. So knowing this, how do we get through our daily lives? I know I make excuses. I tell myself it's okay because I ride my bike to class, or I use a water bottle, or I turn off the lights. But I think what this actually does is just makes me more worried than the person sitting next to me, who doesn't care about climate change. And in the big picture, we probably contribute to the problem about the same. What really gets me though, isn't how much CO2 I'm producing. It's that the average citizen in Tanzania only produces 264 pounds of CO2 per year, or just over what I'm going to use on that 4-hour flight. You see, the other advocate in me claims to be a humanitarian, one that would like to see all 21-year-olds be able to fly to their nation's capital to study political history. For that world to be possible, though, would go against my environmental wishes, which is to have CO2 levels remain constant or even decrease. The climate change issue isn't just an issue about humans versus the environment. It's an issue of equality among humans. What gives me the right to create so much more pollution than a citizen in Tanzania when my pollution affects both of us equally? I think the solution then is to not worry about the short term. Climate change is already happening, and it's not going to stop. Instead, we should be focusing on providing financial assistance to the world's poor. When sea levels rise, it's not the wealthy that are going to be impacted. It's the citizens of Thailand and Liberia. It's not a very romantic notion, but dropping our climate change advocacy in favor of development issues is the smartest thing we can do.